I just had it
actually
on
didn't leave
friends
the office
instead
till
of public.
6, so.
I didn't get that exchange until like late either, so it was late when I sent it over to, and I tried to send it to any of the chamber members that were in Nucla, so I
Okay.
did have your email address. I can tell you here just real quick when I sent it.
It was a girl named Harley that was calling, she's on a committee of some sort of
It's-
committee
yeah.
to,
She's the public information manager.
Yeah, I didn't
Okay.
get a phone call
I
today
sent
from
it at
anybody,
6:05.
and I worked till 6.
Sorry about that.
Thank you.
But I didn't get it till late, so.
Okay. And she should be calling you. That side of the road isn't gonna be done until later in the project. They're gonna focus on this side first. So she's trying to reach out. I know she called several people that were not available, didn't answer.
Please put my name on there.
You're
I
on.
did.
You're
You
good.
said you were coming, I put it on there.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're up.
Oh, I'm up.
Yes,
You're up.
ma'am. Jane.
Oh, no, I just this week.
We're just zooming.
I carry it everywhere I go.
And I didn't, I just was reading and then after I.
Can we move the podium up?
I didn't see the demo.
Well, I noticed we weren't on the agenda again for the cell tower after I asked at the last meeting, or to make a decision about a public meeting where people could come and ask questions and get answers. So I guess that means you just have to listen to me. And I can never talk for only 3 minutes, so bummer. I'm gonna show you again, because I think this is still very irresponsible, even though it may be all you have to do. That fine print is pretty rough. If anybody hasn't seen the fine print, you may pass it around. So we've gotten a few more records. One thing that, well, actually a couple of things that I just wanted to bring up. I went back to the days of clear networks, because that was one of those other things that came up and seemed to go through awfully fast. And I found in a couple of Melissa's emails, let's try to link, this is from Casey Irving from Clear Networks to Melissa, saying, let's try to link up soon. And we would appreciate it for now if we didn't spread the word about our plans. We would really like to discuss this with NNTC before they hear it from somewhere else. And she replies, mum's the word on our end. However, I think NNTC may have already heard due to the UNCC locate that went out. I'm open to a meeting anytime, just let me know. We look forward to another internet option in Nucla for our residents. And then she was very helpful in helping them get their meet and greet set up. I think you should hold a meet and greet, public forum. And they did, and she helped them get the building, the community center, to rent. But one of the things that bothered me, and I go back to my little flyer that you hung up on the bulletin board with the small writing, and when I asked, where was it advertised? Did you advertise this? Did anybody know there was a special meeting? Did anybody know about the tower? And she said, all we have to do is pull it on our bulletin board. We don't have to put it on Facebook. We don't have to put it in the newspaper. Okay. But I found it interesting, again with Clear Networks. They let her know that they're coming to host a public information session, which she already knew because she helped them get it set up. And she said, we can post it on our Facebook page, and we can post it around town for you. And here's the flyer. No small print on that. And I went to that meeting, and I don't remember seeing any of you there at that. Were you there? And what I got out of that meeting, and I talked to the gentleman when he came to the museum and wanted us to go with Clear Networks, that what they said, they knew at that meeting that it was going to affect the phone company pretty drastically. And he said, oh no, we didn't do anything to affect the phone company. And I said, yeah, you did. You said, we intend to have all of the internet in Nucla and Natarita and leave the landlines to NNTC. That is what he said at the public meeting. That is what was said. In one of the reports that Melissa had, she said how she had a meeting with Region 10 that day, and that Region 10 was absolutely in support of having Clear Networks take over all of the internet. So she was more than willing to hang this, and she must have made the copies herself on the town printer, because they said they'd bring them over to her, and she said, I got it. Another thing that I wondered about was she got a letter, an email from Clear Networks a month after their conversation started in February. And they wanted her to write a letter. A month after they'd had just emails with Clear Networks. They wanted her to write a letter of support that the town of Nucla supported and trusted Clear Networks because Cortez was thinking about going with them. So they sent her a letter, and she used their letter and just signed it. I also thought it was interesting that before T-Mobile even had a tower up here, she wrote for their $50,000 community grant. Seems to me like you'd at least wait until you had T-Mobile here. But, and that was denied. And one of the reasons it was denied is because there was no collaboration. You have to collaborate. You have to talk to people. You have to work with people in your community. So that just kind of struck me. And then I wanted to know about the building that they wanted to build at the community center. Did that ever go through? Did that happen? No, that stopped. Well, that was good. And then I just wanted to show you another picture. This is the school. This is an old Google photo. This is your school. This is me. And this is your tower. It's pretty close. And if you stand in my front yard, and I would love for you to come on a field trip and come and stand in my front yard. And I went and stood over at suddenly, I'm looking at towers. Everywhere I go, I see towers. And I went and stood over at the 80-foot one at the phone company. And it sits on the ground. It's got a little bit of a concrete, maybe thigh high on me. And I stand there and look at it, and it's big, and it's got a lot of antennas because people complain. I mean, I was there, I got those phone calls. People complained and said, my Verizon won't work. My AT&T won't work. And they tell me it's your fault. And I explained to them, well, my phone works everywhere because NNTC pays to run off everybody's cell towers. So my phone works on Verizon. My phone works on Sprint. They have an agreement with Sprint. T-Mobile bought Sprint. So now all of a sudden, all of these cell tower people want to put their antennas on NNTC's tower. And I think it's admirable that they let them put them on there, because now people that have Verizon and AT&T suddenly have service in Nucla and Atarita. They didn't try to keep anybody away. They didn't try to keep the competition away. And I appreciated that. But I went and stood there at that tower, and I thought, why does this not look so big? But when I'm standing in my front yard, it looks to me like this 100-foot tower is going to be massive. And it's because it's on a 50-foot hill. So really what you're putting in is a 150-foot tower, which is why it has to have the flashing red lights at night. Because FAA is not going to allow airplanes. I had an airplane come over my house just this week, yesterday morning, right over the top of my house. Flight for Life comes in right over the top of my house. So I understand why. It is going to be massive. And told you at the last meeting, according to the information that I've been given, you can still get out of this contract. You can still get out of this lease contract. I know that History Colorado is still looking at our history and that they have put a pause on it. I guess until you decide to put it on the agenda or have a special meeting where people can come and actually ask you questions. The big mystery, and I know you can't answer it, but is how did it go from being up on the mountain, out at the brush pile, to being right in the middle of Main Street? How did that happen? And I've had a lot of people ask me. I thought it wasn't going to be out at the brush dump. Yeah, for a long time it was. Maybe we can have a meeting, we can ask those questions, and maybe that'd be enough for me. But it feels very hidden. That even in your August meeting, when you had finally decided on the new site that you couldn't put on the minutes where that new site was, that would have been helpful. I don't know, I probably still wouldn't have caught it because I trusted you all to make a good decision in town about the town. And like I said, I think I voted for everybody here. You were, I think, appointed, but I would have voted for you. I appreciate what you all do. I don't want to be angry about this. I don't want to be angry. You people are my friends. I like to talk to you at the post office. I like to talk to you at meetings. But you hid this tower from me. Many of you had an opportunity to say, did you know we're putting a tower up by your house? You might want to get in on the conversation. And you didn't. My grandson Spencer, we all know Spencer, he's very concerned about this. They all are. Because they know how much it has hurt me that this has come along in my life all of a sudden. But he said, Grandma, I don't think they would have done that if Grandpa was alive. I think he would have known about it. He said, I think somebody would have told him. Why didn't they tell you? I had one of them say, Grandma, those are your friends. Nobody said anything to you? And I said, no. I'm still amazed. I can't sleep at night. I wake up thinking, why is this happening? Should I put my house on the market now? Maybe somebody else won't think it's so massive. Or should I wait until it's up there and they see how massive it is? And they look at the 6-foot fence that looks like a prison fence with the 3 strands of barbed wire around it. Nobody fences anything in here. And NTC doesn't have a fence around their tower. I don't know. I'll be back in 2 weeks. I don't know what else to do. I'm trying to get some of my finances in order and maybe I can get a lawyer. I mean, that's my next step. It's pretty hard to hire a lawyer when you're on a fixed income as a widow. So I'm doing the best I can. I know, Tim, that you recommended I get petitions going. It would have been nice if we could have done that in the planning process and not have to run around and be angry and get people to sign your petition.
Well, anger works real good, Jane. Anyway,
Oh, well, anger.
since you addressed me specifically, I want to make a comment. So, there were several options reviewed for this tower. One was down at Brush Dump. This was the last option looked at. And I'll admit, I was not against this location. But what I'm really for is on Midway Tank. That's where T-Mobile would really like to put their cell tower. Now, the county stopped that. So I am more than happy if somebody will put together a petition for the county commissioners to revisit that decision. Because that's where we would like to put that tower.
Close to the airport.
Well,
Flashing red lights.
That wasn't the reason.
that wasn't the reason.
But see, Do you see just this little bit of conversation? Wouldn't it have been nice if we could have had that conversation? I mean, I would have loved to have sat here around a table with all of you and let's talk about this. But I did not get that privilege. So now I'm flying by the seat of my pants.
So Jane,
Yes?
you said it wasn't on the agenda, that doesn't mean it wasn't gonna be on the agenda, because there was discussion among the board on via email that maybe it would be a good idea to have us go ahead and have a special meeting. So, that being the case, it would have been, we don't put things on the agenda until public comment is over. So, that doesn't mean it wasn't gonna be on the agenda, it doesn't mean we're not gonna have a special meeting. I mean, obviously it'll be up to the full board to decide that. Some are for, probably some are against. But
Well, I'll come back every 2 weeks and ask.
the recommendation was made maybe after the election, so maybe that's the case, maybe that's what people will agree on, I don't know. But I would love to involve the county in this because quite frankly, they've took plenty of heat over that cell tower out at the old KOA corner, as they call it. So they're very well aware of public concern about cell towers, and if we can get the tower down on Midway Tank, that's the direction we should go in.
And it would have been nice had some of the people in the community been able to been in on that conversation.
I agree, but that doesn't mean it can't happen still.
Well, and I hope it does. Like I said, I don't want to be the angry woman running around town. Unfortunately, I have been acting like the angry woman running around town.
If you're
And
not the angry woman, Jane, then,
I'm angry.
then most people go, okay, so.
Well, I'm not gonna
It's
go
good.
okay.
It is, I mean, you know,
And it's very,
most people, they don't listen until somebody's ticked off. I mean,
well, and maybe that's why, but I feel like if you can do this to me, then I'm telling you, the rest of you better watch out because anything can get snuck by is what I've seen. And it's pretty sneaky.
but Jerry, we weren't listening.
Well, and I believe that. I don't believe there was any malicious intent on any of you board members. I do not. But I also don't think that you thought it through very well.
Well, no, I agree. I think that quite frankly, judging from the reaction to the cell tower out at KOA Corner, that it would have been a good idea for us to revisit what public concerns might be. Obviously, we didn't, because I don't think anybody really thought about it. And you can say that that was a faux pas on our part, and it probably was, but it is what it is, so we either proceed from here in a direction that we can all settle on.
Well, I hope we proceed. And I hope it can be on the agenda sometime where we can ask questions, or we can just have a nice little work session where everybody can come and sit down. But you are not locked into this contract totally. And there is a pause on it right now because of the history. So it's giving me a little bit more time. And everybody that I've talked to, I say to them, yes, I am the president of the Historical Society, and I do believe in preserving what history we can. It was hard to watch the old school building be torn down, but that was their choice. It's hard for me to see the old cistern up there that Mr. Hubel dug by hand, and I feel value in that, and maybe not everybody else does. But wouldn't it have been nice if I could have sat down? I wish I'd gotten in here earlier to talk about the plans that we had talked about for the centennial, to preserve that building, to let people know what it is, to have the flagpole. We were the first people, we were the first town to really put up a flagpole, and all the towns followed us. Everybody wanted to be like Nucla. I think that's important. I think we should have a flagpole up there again.
So have you got any feedback from the Colorado Historical Society, any indication one way or another what they're?
It's up to Vertical Bridge now. It's up to them. They'll have to send the archaeologist back, and he's gonna have to go through that property with a spoon. And I don't know. I'm sure a lot of people have dug up there over the last 100 years, but you cannot tell me that that hill was not an important feature for the Utes. It is the highest point on the Tabawatch Park, for them to, they had to have used it for something. You're going to start digging. They're going to start digging. They're going to go deep for this tower. And that's not going to be fun if it gets stopped right in the middle. But they did put it out, and 3 Ute tribes answered and said they don't know anything about it. But they never came back. We're here. The colonists came, and they made this a town. And their buildings on Main Street were burning down right and left. And they couldn't get enough water from the ditch to put those fires out. So they built that cistern to hold 1,000 barrels of water, so that the next fire that came down Main Street, they could get to it faster. And then they left it to the town of Nucla. They turned that water over, and they turned that property over to the town of Nucla. The Town of Nucla Improvement Company, which was established in 1914. Now, I can send that all in and try to get historical designation, national designation, but I don't think national cares one hoot about our old cistern that the colonists dug by hand.
Yeah, you're right, it's probably not likely.
So I can start working on it. I can start pushing that way, but I kind of have my hands full right now. I did get my grandson out of the way, so I'm able to concentrate more on this. I miss him very much. It was very hard to take him home. I wish he were here. He didn't get to say goodbye to Miss Penny, and he didn't get to have his 10-inch cheese pizza with no green stuff the last day, so he was a little bummed.
I owe him 2 now.
So I'm busy. Everybody's busy. We're all busy. I've already been to 2 board meetings this week. I loved the perk before work. If you don't come to the perk before work, or the roundtables, you are missing a treat. Every one of you should be there at least once, because you just find everything out. The businesses cheer each other on. The community, the people that are there are united in how can we make our community better and work as a team. Somewhere something got crossways. I don't know. And now we have this big ugly cloud hanging over the community, and everybody having all of this nastiness to say, and we're all trying to figure out how that happened. Where did it come from? And why are we having to deal with it? What is going on? So I'll see you in 2 weeks. Maybe I'll get some more. Maybe I need to ask for the emails between the town clerk and the board. Maybe that would show me some things that would show me what happened. There's a pretty good trail that I've got going, and I was hoping that we would have this meeting tonight, and that people could come and ask questions, but obviously that's not going to happen. Thank you, Tim. I always appreciate you sharing with me. So I guess the lawyer's the next step, or maybe I'll just give it another 2 weeks. That's what I tell myself. I'm going to give it another 2 weeks. Surely they're going to come around. Surely they're going to talk to us. So I'll see you in 2 weeks.
Thanks, Shane. Tanya, I see you're on here, but you're on the agenda.
I was,
Or do you have something else other
Can I
than,
go,
do you have something other than the
Can I-
ball?
can I do it so I can get out of here?
Yep.
Alright.
Do it right now, absolutely.
I was just gonna add to the, I know you've got the donation for the year, but, this is just a quick summary of stuff, just in case there was, this is what I was handing out to people along the way. Oh, I can't, here, it's, yeah. And, in case, people thought we were twiddling our thumbs.
I've seen it, you can send it
So-
to me.
Alright.
You want public advice?
Oh, no, in case people thought we were twiddling our thumbs.
Oh, I didn't. We're all pulling our thumbs.
I know. So that's just a little bit of information for what we've been doing. And, then also our chili dinner auction was very successful. It was better. It was better than what we've had ever. But when you owe the vet $9,000, it's like, that's, kinda goes that direction, but anyway, that's in care of the animals, and I mean, that's what happens, you get bills.
Yep.
And, but we've been busy. What else did I, oh,
Oh, you can have it. I'm
no,
ready.
I was just, I'm hoping that I'm not counting my chickens before they're hatched. Oh, no, I'll back up. We're still working on the roof for the shelter. I brought that to your attention, a few months ago. We are still working on that. So when I get a better estimate, then
Okay.
I will bring that to your attention. Monday, I'm hoping, like I said, I'm not counting my chickens before they're hatched, but they were doing auction items or auction vehicles for Montrose County, and one got pulled off the auction, possibly for hoof and paw, so.
Oh, cool.
I am hoping, I'm going over Monday, and I'm hoping like crazy, cause they said something about, oh, it'll have about 100,000 miles, I'm like, mine has 220, so 100,000 sounds like a brand new.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So I'm just,
Absolutely.
like, I try not to get excited, but I think I am already, so. And so, anyway,
Whoops.
all
I'm
right,
trying to.
thank you, I
Yep.
better run.
Okay,
Get
thank you,
these
Tommy.
calls.
They got a driver call?
Yes,
Okay, very good. Alright. Have a motion for board meeting minutes and, the budget for February 26th.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second
Alright, Elaine,
Yes.
Paula,
Yes.
David,
it. Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Denny,
Yes.
Scott. Yes, motion carried. Anything to, add?
Yes. Main Street water line.
And I would like to add, our used aerators.
I would also like to add the leak that's going on between the midway tank.
Leak, you said?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry, did you say, Melissa? Would you want to
Our
add?
used aerators.
Alright.
So we're gonna have a discussion about a public meeting.
I'll add that.
Okay.
I didn't hear you say much.
Yeah, add, for public discussion.
Oh,
Discussion on a public meeting for the cell tower issue.
Alright. First we'll start off with, I don't see Penny here, Penny Dillon.
No, I didn't ever get anything from her either, so we should probably just remove it until we get
Okay.
something.
And the Hope and Paul,
Yeah, we just need to go through the motion. I mean, it
Okay.
is budgeted for, so I don't really know that we need to motion it, cause we budget for it every year. I just knew she was gonna come, so I put her on the agenda,
okay, very good,
so we should be good there.
alright. Discuss the donation to the West End Visitor Center.
I will remove myself.
Go to the bathroom. So what's our normal donation on that one?
We've given 5,000 in the past 3 or 4 years.
That comes out of, is that the Montrose?
It does come out of the Montrose County Fund, so.
Any thoughts, anybody?
Yeah. Well, I spelled your name wrong.
Uh-oh.
No, I don't have any problem with
Okay. Can we,
5,000.
can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion, we approve like standard annual donation of $5,000 come out of the Montrose County funds that they generously give us for the West Ten Visitor Center.
So I would just like to add that we have not gotten that money yet, so I will wait until we receive it from Montrose County.
With that
before I
addendum.
pass it. Okay.
I owe you.
Yeah,
I'll second.
all right. Only
Yes.
David,
Yeah.
Tim, Penny,
Yes.
Scott, yes, motion carried.
Who seconded that?
Penny.
Pardon? Yeah, I wasn't speaking.
Next is, discussion of, proposed changes to the ACO's, adoption.
Does anybody have any changes or suggestions?
I got through halfway. See, it's misspelled word. I'm curious about, would be, let's see, the cover sheet, then we'd be going to, oh, their number, page 5. Second paragraph, if an animal is not deemed redeemed within 7 days, it shall be deemed abandoned, and the designated official of the town of Nucla may humanely euthanize or adopt out said animal. Are we a euthanizing entity?
We would take it somewhere to be euthanized. But because we partner with Hoof and Paw, they would probably take it to be adopted.
And then,
So 7 days is, where's that number coming from?
Well, that's in our agreement with Hoof and Paw, that 7 days is how long until an owner has to give up its rights if it can't
That's
vaccinate
after
it, take care
receiving
of it.
notification, that they've actually definitely received the notification.
well, then your spelling thing was on page 3, town of Nucla, yeah, there. Second
Typo.
paragraph, yeah, typo.
I have a printed copy of that, but is it available like in an electronic format so that we could just make edits on that, or do you know?
I
mean,
think
assume
Brooke has it
did
in,
that.
yeah, Brooke did this, so,
Yeah, I like the electronic one, I think it's
we could do that.
Could we, that'd be
going.
faster to use it through it and
Mhm.
make some suggestions on it.
On page 7, there's another misspelled. Fourth paragraph, licensing is spelled wrong.
I think we could move on.
Okay,
Unless
we have,
Penny's got stuff marked.
No, I'll just finish up looking at it. and-
okay, so we're just going on to the next item?
Yeah.
Okay, very good. I thought we were waiting,
Sorry
I'm
about
sorry,
No,
I was
no, it's
waiting.
okay. You're good.
I'm really sorry. Well, I was actually looking at something else too, looking for a response. Sorry, what did I do with my agenda? Approve the comment interest, company agreement meeting.
That is for between the town of Manarita, the county of Montrose, and the town of Nucla regarding our water rights.
Yeah, that's.
At the river, the shared 2.31, yeah. What do we wanna do with them? That was in your packet a couple of weeks with the big letters drafted across it. This is an actual thing, so. And this was drawn up by our attorneys.
And that's the meeting that we put on the calendar last time, 1:30 at
On the
Navigator.
18th, but it's going to probably be in our community center because the internet in Navarrete doesn't work very well at their community center for, I don't know why,
Okay.
it hit or miss. So they wanted to see if they could have it at our community center. I told them they could, but we would just have to use the alternative entrance. Because
Okay.
ours
Oh, yeah,
is,
we're
ours is kind of torn up right now. The outside.
Okay.
It's coming along.
It'd be nice when it's done.
If the board doesn't have any changes, I'd make a motion to approve the common interest and confidentiality agreement with the town of Navarrete and Montrose County.
I'll second that.
Alright, Scott,
Yes.
Kenny,
Yes,
Tim,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Yes.
Paul, Colleen,
Yes.
yes, motion carried. Next is John Reed. Not approving an extension on his temporary occupancy. I can never say that word right, but go ahead.
Good evening, John Reed. So best laid plans, you know, they say, well, you know, how do you make God laugh? You tell him your plans, and then he just laughs and laughs. So, setbacks, I don't think winter's warm enough, so I decided to start a fire and warm up the community, and so that's set me back a little bit there and stuff. The contractor that I had set to come in and work with me on doing an extension on my existing house became overwhelmed, so he backed out on me. So I'm having to try to get with another contractor to see if I can get a quote on the extension. So that's basically restarting that whole process again on that. And then, of course, last meeting I brought in, you know, a couple of things to see if we could get some verbiage straightened out on the codes in the building for the tiny homes and the trailer houses. I don't know if you've made any decisions on that yet or not. I know that Tim circled it and put an X through the one part about, you know, forcing the trailer to be moved out after a certain amount of time. Still would go that it would have to be kept up in good condition, you know, be able to be left there. I don't know if you had a chance to talk about the sizes of the tiny homes.
We have not.
Okay, so kind of still at a standstill there then on that. One other question I was thinking about, the place, property I was, it's been looked at a couple of times. I don't know if it's gone under contract yet or not. Not from me because I was waiting for some clarity on this. It's 2 lots that are up for sale. And in the building codes and the town codes, it says, you put two houses on each lot. But according to Melissa, under the new codes, that's actually shrank down to only 3 houses onto those 2 lots, or 3 places on that. It was set up with 4, it has 4 taps, water and sewer there already. Electricity will have to be reinstalled for the south end lot, because I think it caught fire and burned down, and they just never replaced that electric outlet on there. So with that variance, with them already having 4 taps, waters in there, and if that got shrunk down to 3, you would have to shut down and block off one of those areas and maybe have to shift them around so that they would match up to the houses that you'd be able to put on there now. That's something I'm not sure about on that. But my main question on that was not so much as a trailer court there. They did have 4 trailers. Well, it had 3 because one was a double wide, so they took up kind of a big section there.
is that
On
right?
the south
Talking
end.
from the alley, aren't you, down there, it's kind of,
Right across the street.
Yeah, right across
yeah,
the street.
literally where
South end.
Jamie Woodson lived.
Yes, and that's, Jamie's Woods was double wide they had in there, so they actually took up, about a lot and a half there. But it wasn't, I don't believe it was classified as a trailer court, it was more, Deweese's owned that, and then they rented that plot out for the trailers to be in there, so the people actually own their own trailers. Now, according to Nucla codes, there's a moratorium on no new trailer courts in. What would be your view if I put, trailer houses versus tiny homes in there? If a tiny home goes in, it's more like a permanent structure versus a manufactured home in there.
You're not talking tiny homes that people say are tiny homes when they're actually just built on a trailer so they can move around.
No, these would be no.
Foundation.
Yeah, that's the one, the variance on the measurements that I gave to you last meeting, and they would be on a solid, they'd be bolted down just like a regular house would be, type of thing, cause a tiny home on wheels is an RV, there's no doubt about that. It's just a fancy fifth wheel.
With no holding tank, basically.
Yeah, so, well, then you might even have that, I don't know, on wheels and stuff, but no, the one I'm talking about, the variance on the size is actual. But my question is, if I purchase that lot, and it can't be considered a mobile home park, but would I be able to put trailer houses on there, own the trailer houses and rent those out? Would that be considered a mobile home park or not?
It's 4 individual lots, or is it?
Well, it's 2 lots.
Oh, it's 2.
It's 2 lots, and on each, according to your code, on each lot, 2 houses can be on
And
each
now it's
lot.
changed to 3.
No, I don't
Well,
think it has changed.
okay.
I
It has
think you
changed?
can, the sizing when we adopted the land use and development code actually went down. It used to be 4,200 square foot for the lot size per structure, but I think now it's 31 something, maybe 33, I can't remember off the top of my head. So it has actually gotten, you can put more structures on a smaller.
Okay.
So
Think
how
about
would
it.
this question be any different than, say, what the Smiths did over here with the tiny homes off Fox? I mean, how's that any different? They own the land, they own the,
The
Tiny
lot
homes.
over there is really small. It wasn't even a full,
I'm just talking
4,200
about the
square foot.
difference between the trailer park or
Right.
trailer court versus,
The
you
tiny
know,
homes.
tiny homes on a property.
Cause that would, your decision on that would let me, decide whether to build tiny homes there on those lots, or to put trailer houses in there, not modulars, but, manufactured trailers, up to the new.
Like a
past the-
single wide.
Yeah, single wides, past the new
Are you
code.
planning on new, used, how?
Well, I couldn't afford new,
Yeah.
there's just no
Within
way.
What is
There's a year
70,
code.
yeah,
There's a year
78
code, it
was
has to
the
be,
HUD
they won't
year.
even let you transport it,
Yeah,
unless it's on the year code. Like the trailer that's sitting there right now, it's non-transportable, I do believe it's older than the date code. So my question would be, if I bought 3 more trailers and put in there, would that be permissible? Because I wanna know that's answered before I lay out the money to do this,
yeah.
because, I need to have kind of an answer so I know what to plan for, whether to move forward with maybe purchasing that lot, putting trailer houses on it so I can rent the other 3 houses out while I live in one, or to put tiny homes in there. With the trailer house goes in there, it's hook up the sewer and electricity and put some skirting around it, you're done. With the tiny home, you've got some modifications to do on it, type of thing. So I need to kind of have those answers so that I can plan further. So, with all of that in hand, I'd like to request an extension on my RV permit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's right after the agreement. On the back side, maybe? Can I just see through it?
I've been scribbling on it, that's it.
So we're wanting 3 months.
Actually, I don't see,
How many months are you asking for?
Are you wanting 3 months?
I'll take as much as you give me. Because I've gotta wait for you guys to get together, figure out what you find that you'll allow. Because like I said, with trailer houses, with that, if it's not considered a mobile home park, but I would be renting, I would buy the trailers to put there to rent out, so there would be more livable, places in town. Or if not, the trailer houses, because it's considered a mobile home park, I would have to have the time to get, you know, start building the tiny homes in there and stuff, and so I need to have the answers kind of on that there, so, you know, whatever you guys like to give me on that stuff.
Historically, there were, how many there at one time?
Four, there's,
Four, that's
yeah,
what I thought.
so,
3 when I lived there back in the 80s, but.
and I wouldn't wanna put 5 in there. You know,
But you're asking for 4, is kinda what you're asking.
well,
four
there's
taps.
one there now, so it'd be 3 more, and there's 3 more sewer and water taps already there. They just need to be inspected, make sure they were still in good condition, type of thing. But then that gives me, I need to know, can I put trailers in there and rent them, or would that be considered a mobile home park? Because there's a moratorium on no new mobile home parks, so, you know, if that stays in place, then it would have to be tiny homes that I'd have to go in there with. Because I wouldn't wanna make the investment in that land just to have one trailer
Do
on
we
it.
have a number what specifies a mobile home park?
I don't, you know, that moratorium is old.
Yeah, it is.
I would have to look at that ordinance to see even what it says.
So that gives you
Exactly, I
time,
think
so if you can give me as much time as you want.
First off, let's do your 3-month variance. Okay, I make the motion to grant John Reed a 3-month, extension on.
I'll second it.
And then this time I'll be waiting for your answer on that. I'll also be trying to get a contractor to see if I can get a new quote on the extension and replacement of that.
Can I have a vote?
Yes.
Penny,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes,
Dave.
only because you're working on something. To be
You
quite
are,
honest.
yeah.
Did you say?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Paula, Aline,
Yes.
yes, motion carried.
We're going.
Thank you, John.
Hold on,
starts
there's
at
some-
Yes.
Thank you,
And off
John.
the top, I'm gonna say I prefer to see tiny homes in there than trailers, so.
Okay, well, then it just has, you know, if you all get together and figure out if you're gonna allow that variance on the size.
I don't know.
All right, set a date for cleanup,
What's the normal month?
May, isn't it?
May, we've done like the first or second weekend in May. Nataritas is having theirs on the 26th, I believe, if that's the Saturday.
We did the 24th.
But Bruin wants to get it on their schedule, is why it's on the agenda.
Better, it is a May?
April, I believe.
Oh, April.
I thought
Yeah,
they
April
didn't want us to
26th.
do, they don't want us to do it the
They
same
do
day.
not,
Okay.
but they want to get it on the schedule now,
Mhm.
so they called and asked. to
Well,
put
what
it
day
on
is
the agenda.
graduation on?
So graduation is on the 17th of May, I believe,
It is.
this year. And Mother's Day would be the 11th.
The 10th, yeah. The 10th.
I'm fine with May 10th. Everybody else is.
Is everybody good with May 10th?
Sure.
Yeah.
Way out there.
It's way out there.
I'll tell you on May 3rd.
Okay. This gives you plenty of time to plan something else and not
Hey.
be there.
I'm wrestling and everything else, I'm never home, so
You'll be getting ready for.
you never know.
All
I'll
your
probably be
spare
somewhere,
stuff.
yeah, might be in Denver, who knows?
California.
Yeah, that's possible this year. Iowa. I think we're in Iowa.
Yeah.
Over there.
You good? All right, next is approve, charging the multiplier to all the approved temporary occupancies.
So we have an ordinance on the books regarding multipliers used when there's multiple houses on one tap. With all the temporary occupancies going in, or short-term rentals, or whatever people are doing with their properties, I wanna know if we should start charging the extra multiplier for extra house.
Quigley's once too.
We did talk to that about Quigley's once, but we never made any decisions.
So So this was being done when I first got on
It-
board.
And we have like at both the trailer parks, beaches and Jackson, we do charge a multiplier for every trailer that's in.
And they were on private
And
property
also
time,
at the
too.
tiny homes over here,
Mhm.
and at the mobile home park on Sixth.
Well, it only makes sense from the standpoint of the fact that it's the increased load. You're basically billing for the increased load on your service system, the infrastructure and the treatment systems and the water supply. So I have no reason to oppose charging a multiplier.
You have a motion?
Do we need a motion to follow with something that we already have in an ordinance?
Oh, I thought we were changing it.
No, the ordinance is still in effect. The only part of this ordinance that was ever revised was just taking the rates out of the ordinance, because we do it on our fee schedule yearly. So it is still in the ordinance, we just haven't done it on short-term temporary occupancies, because they're supposed to be short-term, but.
Mhm.
So probably don't need a motion, probably just need
To enforce it.
to enforce the ordinance.
All right, next is Miranda.
Good evening.
Hi, Miranda.
Amanda Findley. So I requested the agenda item for the Main Street Improvement Project with the primary purpose of just kind of opening things up for business owners that might have questions about the construction that's planned. I've been aware that it's gonna be happening for a while with a tentative start date of sometime in April. And then was pleased to hear from Melissa a few days ago that there's gonna be a public information person, and a bunch of business owners did receive emails today. And so for the people that didn't get that email, it's a general schedule of 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday, and with some advice on traffic impact and then the impact on businesses, with an expected completion sometime in July. So what it doesn't really specify, and what are my kind of main concerns, or at least things I want to be aware of as we come into that project, is number one is structure protection, because the sidewalk construction is occurring right up against, property lines. And so I have questions about, will the town of Nucla be adding businesses as named insured, or is that a CDOT thing, or how do they handle liability when it comes to structure protection or property damage?
I don't know about added as additional insurers, it's not the town's project, it's Williams Construction, so they are the ones that carry the insurance. I can ask that question. I know that they have hired the structural engineer to take pictures of all the businesses on Main Street that have that butted up thing, and they will saw cut this side of the business, so as hopefully not to even get into that. And then they'll also ask businesses to make sure that they remove anything that could fall off during construction and break. They're supposed to be doing a walk to each business before it's mainly that 4th to 5th Avenue group of businesses that it affects. So they're supposed to be going and doing the structural inspection, I guess, for lack of a better word, and discussing it with the business owners at the time when they do that. Because they'll want to come in and take pictures of all your walls and everything too.
Yeah, I know there's some concern with equipment that's used in windows, especially those older, more historic windows.
And they should have suggestions on how to protect those kind of things also.
And I could only suggest that you either get a copy of what they do from them, or have your own and do your own, so that you can have, you're not just relying on what Williams said is what your business looks like versus, so.
Yeah. Some of the other concerns, and I think probably others may share this, is expected completion of, sometime in July. I think people understand that the project is important and it'll be nice to see the sidewalks done. But there will be an impact on businesses. Our business is, yeah, foot traffic is nice for people to come in the door, but I know that we are less affected right now with what level we're at with our business plan, than some of the others. And so, again, I know you have the public information officer and there's probably a plan for that open line of communication, but last summer, there were some delays with the paving and the water lines that went on and the dust and things, so I just wanted to kind of, bring that up just, in case, I don't know if anyone else might have an opportunity to ask questions or express that concern, but, the email that we received is nicely worded and it's very optimistic, about minimal traffic impacts and the impacts to businesses and all that, so, but I think we've all been through a project like that, especially when it comes to Department of Transportation, and so, it's sort of putting them on notice kind of a thing, and that don't mean to be negative about that, it's just a realistic concern to bring up.
Yeah.
So.
I don't know what to say about the dust, but they have assured me that they are going to make sure that all the businesses have active sidewalks. So even if, when they tear it apart, they will build a temporary sidewalk for access so that businesses are not affected. Again, it's going to be a business by business discussion with the owner of the business and the property owner or whatever and the contractor, so that each person is, everybody has different hours, different needs, that kind of thing, so one thing doesn't fit all. So I know that's part of the conversation, that it should be happening soon, because I did have a pre-construction conference on Monday, and they are starting on Monday. They will start up here at 3rd Avenue with mowing in on Monday. They probably won't start demo until Wednesday or Thursday, and then they are going to do the Valley Pan and 4th Avenue while the school is closed for spring break. So that puts that section down between 4th and 5th off for quite some while, because then they'll pop back up here to do the curb and gutter and then the sidewalk. Not being a concrete person, I don't really know how the flow of that looks, but that's why they're supposed to be talking to all the businesses now and continuously, and that's why we hired a person that knows construction and that. Some of your other questions. We did talk to Art at the apothecary regarding their wanted access to ADA compliance. There's a question from CDON on whether that can be done to their building without interfering in the rest of the sidewalk. So they're looking into that. Also, who pays for that upgrade to the entrance to their building? Because if we do it to their building, then we're almost required to do it for every other building. And then we don't have that kind of money for this particular phase of the project. So that is being discussed with the property owner, the business manager, and we're trying to work it out.
And in addition to the ADA compliance, I think part of that question was, hey, there's a concrete step that's jutting out, and so if anyone else has any features like that in front of their business, they might want to contact the town, I guess, for the project.
So in CDOT, because that step is really just bringing it up level to the business and it's just an extra step, they don't see that as a necessary item, that you can walk from the sidewalk into the building at the same height level. 7.5 inches is the max stair rise for any stair, whether it be 1 step or 20 steps. So they don't think that step needs to be there.
Makes sense.
So, because it just steps into the same level as the building. I think there's another building that, is it Jane's?
It's
Yeah,
the
that has
office.
the wooden.
We put the wooden there, we had to put it there for Mrs. Nick, because she couldn't even get that step up into the beauty shop.
Because it's probably a little bit higher.
Yeah.
As we go down the hill, it gets a little bit more steep, so
I
that.
shouldn't say we, I should say Amy, had to put
Had
that
to
step
put that
in.
step there.
So,
Yeah.
it was
But it's a
for the beauty
removable
shop.
step.
Yes.
It could just be removed for new concrete and then replaced, as could another step be put there for the apothecary shop as well.
It's not ideal. It definitely gets weathered.
Yeah.
This one has been there for a while and it probably needs to be replaced. But, and then we have in front of the museum.
You're flat.
The old wood.
Yeah.
It looks like it was the old, from the old boardwalk.
Yeah.
That'll have to come out.
That kind of brings up the next concern, is that quite a few people did get facade improvement grants. I don't know how many on those spots on Main Street. We do have one, and we're not ready to proceed on the work yet, but by July, coming close to that deadline, it will be coming close, and I understand that WEC is pretty good about allowing for extensions, but the CDOT representatives, I don't know if they're aware of that, but the importance of being notified, I think, comes into play there. Some of the projects will take less time than others too, but I know with that entryway space, we do have a plan to, I think maybe tile or maybe the wooden kind of entryway, but of course we wouldn't do that until the paving was complete.
When is the WEC grant expire?
I wanna say early August, or you have until to complete the work. I'm not terribly concerned, because I did hear that they're pretty good about working with people.
I had to have an extension for the visitor center, and Michaela was really easy to work with on that, so.
So I do know that the project has a 90-day working day limit, and if they start on Monday, that puts it at July 25th as the end date for the total project. And I do have a schedule that they sent me, but I really haven't, they sent it to me about 4:30 this afternoon, and I see a lot of 0 days on here, so I've got questions just at glancing at it. So I'd like to have something to share with everybody, but this isn't really worth sharing yet until I've had a chance to really tell them they need to put days in here. This doesn't make sense that it's gonna take 0 days for this stuff. So I'd like to have more information tonight for you, but I just,
Yeah, I just wanted to open it up and
Yeah.
say these are some of the things that I can think of if anyone else has comments too, because I'm sure they have their own concerns, but, and is that 90 days, is there an impression that's the drop deadline and that's when they have to stop, or are they likely
yeah,
to
but it's
extend?
working days, not calendar days. So they will be working from Monday through Friday, 7 to 7. Unless something comes up and somebody needs them to not work one day or something like that. And the only one that would do that would be a business owner. Amy's got something going on at the Bessel House or something, and she doesn't want construction that time, or whatever it may be, then that would be like an extended day,
How,
where it could possibly go farther.
excuse me, how will that work out for water days?
Well, Water Days is on Saturday. I think I talked to Tina earlier, and she was not gonna do the street dance. Did you?
Oh, I thought the street dance is happening.
I thought it was a great
So
idea,
wait,
but she
so
said it
we
was
may-
just Saturday, but we
'Cause
would
have
shut
our
them
ice cream
down.
Social on Friday night too.
Yeah, well, I had thought about that, and that's why I contacted Tina, and she said they weren't gonna do the dance again this year. But
Okay.
maybe they've changed
I don't
now,
know.
maybe
I haven't
they've
asked her
changed
for a
back,
while, so.
which I thought it went well last year, so. But they would shut down for that day, that whole weekend would be shut down for Water Days. They know Water Days is Nucla's most important weekend
Okay.
event, so they were prepared to shut down for that. So,
Well, I think that covers it for the initial things that I thought of, and I understand we'll be getting more information, but if anyone else has questions. then-
definitely, thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Brenda. Next is Jamie.
Hi, I'm looking for feedback on the short-term rentals.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Last meeting I was here about short-term rentals and people just hadn't really had a chance to look it over. I was just looking for feedback, seeing where we're at with that and seeing if there's been any thoughts, questions, movement.
That's why we gave you 6-month extensions, because we ain't gonna move like lightning.
I did read through it, but I didn't make any notes yet. I will do that though. I'm sorry.
Yes.
That's fine, and just to clarify that this is totally unrelated to the bus, this is short-term rentals for Airbnb, VRBO, that kind of thing,
Right.
so.
Yeah.
Okay, and then, yeah, the other thing was for the bus, and just going through code, trying to kind of brainstorm some things, as John brought up today and in the past meetings, there's a lot of things that are intertwined with this, and some of them came up tonight, like with the tiny homes. Like if you look in the code, it defines tiny homes, and it says there's a line where it's like, oh, it should be treated as an ADU. But then within the town code, there's no regulations for ADUs that I can see. So like it just is a little more involved, right? Like the conditional use permit may be involved with this in terms of density, in terms of what we want the town to look, all the things that we've discussed. So I was really hoping to just leave the meeting today with the working group or special meeting or whatever, get somebody from the board to help lead that so we can kind of work through these things more closely, or people who have more eyes and more experiences with these codes and things can start moving on that process and not take up every meeting from now on about this.
I don't disagree with you, so I guess if there's people if the board is willing and there's people who volunteer to meet on this, then I guess we could maybe ask if we wanna do that right now. So, I have no problem volunteering. I think if we get over 2 people off the board, then it's gotta be a public meeting, so we ain't going there.
And also, this is the 3 meetings I've come to prior to this, and there's never been an update from the housing committee. What did you guys do? Shouldn't that be like?
There hasn't been any meetings. We'd see normally is coordinating those, and we are engaged with them, but they haven't had meetings for months.
So they're not, nothing we
There
have to
hasn't
necessarily
really been-
coordinate with, we just do our own
There
thing.
hasn't been anything actively discussed lately on that, so, yeah.
Okay.
I'm willing to, volunteer some time, I mean, so. Yeah.
Okay.
Unless there's another board member that would rather do it, and then.
No, you and Tim are great.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you.
Kelsey and Tim, that's what
See how
happened.
much you wanted that.
Yeah.
So, is there anybody else you know of that's interested in the public?
I had a number of people contact me, but I was planning to put something on Facebook, put it in the paper, whatever, just like reach out. There's a lot more people that want to share their opinion than do the work. I'm sure it's all you guys know. But at least to throw it out there and just get opinions and,
Yeah, I'm really more interested in doing the work rather than seeing somebody with their opinions. So.
right, yeah,
So,
I get it,
mean,
for sure. Yeah.
Everybody's got an opinion.
So you'll reach out to us?
Very few people
Yeah.
are willing to do the work. So.
Very good. Thank you, Jamie.
So I guess we'll have to kind of get together and decide. what we're
I
doing.
just asked her if she wanted
Yeah,
to.
just
Yeah, I
reach
don't
out.
mind leading the charge and organizing everyone. It'll be via email. I hope that's okay.
Mhm. Yes.
All right. I believe I have 4. Is there 4 or 5 added?
Or I have, yeah,
Main
Um,
Street water.
yeah, we can start with there.
David.
Sweet. So Brenda, when Miranda was talking about this, and this is something me and Melissa talked, while we're doing sidewalks, business owners should think about maybe making sure their lines are good from the meter pits into their buildings.
Certain
So if it don't, hopefully it won't break and you have to tear up a brand new sidewalk to put a water line in. So while they have it dug up, you might be able to get a deal or something and see if they'll help you stuff a line into your building.
An opportunity to look at your lines.
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
And
Help, and yeah, then you're done, you don't have to worry about sidewalk improvements anymore.
I would,
And
I would,
just a note, when we replaced the sidewalk, in the building where Ease was, when we did that, I believe we ran conduit to the meter pit in case there was any future issues.
so you slide a new one through it.
So we could just, yeah,
Yeah,
get the new service
that's a
line.
great idea.
Yeah,
I mean, that probably wouldn't be a bad idea for anybody's that was halfway.
A lot less expensive than having to tear up sidewalk and replace it later.
Mhm. For sure. All right,
I'm not done yet,
okay,
you calm down.
well, finally,
I walked with Jeremiah the other day down opening meter pits. I'm horrible with that, addresses, so Montzunich's house across the street has 2 new meter pits, and the old meter pit's still up against the house with the meter in it, and the new meter pit has a jumper across it. It'd be like Janet's. Somehow I think we need to either talk to the owner and try to move our meter, and the pits aren't in the sidewalk either, they're on the property, so there's another thing we'd have to battle with.
Yeah, cause it's not on our land.
Yeah, they put it on the other side, after they dug the side up, walk out, they still put it on the opposite side, and it's inside the fence.
You talking about Mon's place, or you talking about?
Moss.
Yeah,
So there's 2 new meter pits.
There's 2 taps
They're
there.
running off of what? The old meter's still in use?
Yeah, because the new taps,
Run into the old meter.
you know, they haven't jumped.
Yeah, they have a jumper.
And I'm picturing that's what they did with the old one at Janet's. But somehow we need to figure out how to get rid of the old meter pits. Either putting a valve in for the customer or doing something, because we're still going to be liable up to the old meter pits. I know of 5 offhand, and I haven't made the whole block yet. So, there's some other stuff. Melissa helped me get in contact with Randy. He told us to make a list of what we want to repair within the the sidewalk improvements and try to get Williams to fix them while we're here. At Radio Shack, there's 2 meters and 1 meter pit for 2 different properties. Kirk's is one of
mine?
them. Yeah.
Well, I saw when they turned me off the other day, tried to do repair, that my meter looks like it's about to fall out of there too. Like he went to turn it off and
It's underneath, yeah, it's underneath the other one. Another thing I had questions on is there's meters that aren't being used, but when they put the new lids on, they didn't put them in with the lids to where we could put our reader on them. And there's a bunch like that. So if we ever or if they ever activate, we're gonna have to buy a lid that we can put our readers on. How do we feel about that?
They should be changed and done right.
I just feel like all the lids should have been the same with what we either had or what we need to be used.
Right.
We need to split up Kurt's meter pit so it has its own. And we did. I talked to Randy about that a little today.
So, the list.
Yeah, we're gonna make another list. I got the one we started with. I've been making notes on it.
That's a nice list. Okay, then.
Well, that's the start of the list we had at the end of our thing, and I'm adding, and I've only went down to 5th, so,
So I guess we have to put cost numbers to that.
yes. I did talk to,
Will Randy do that? Or no?
I don't know.
Okay.
He was talking about trying to make Williams, since it's still under warranty, just
Yeah,
replace it.
Yeah, it should be under
Warranty.
warranty.
Warranty work. Another thing we talked about is the curb stops. I mentioned that to him, he said it was within specs. I told him, as a town, as us as a board, we would like them either flush or below concrete level, so they're not a tripping
The
hazard.
curb stops.
Right.
All the valves, because there's some that are above, there's one broke at Curse, of course, because it's above the concrete, it's already broke off a piece of it, so. And there is some
This is stuff they installed.
installed, yes, brand new stuff.
Yeah, that's gotta go flush.
Yeah, and we gotta, when we looked at our bill, they billed us for taking out meter pits, which we've already had 5 still that are in there that they didn't take out. I don't know how they didn't, if they weren't, I just don't know why they didn't take them out, because we're gonna be liable up to that pit,
Mm-hmm.
so.
Yeah.
How long is our warranty still good? What we have?
Till, October, I'd have to look.
It was a
I
year.
think October.
Yeah.
I think October is when substantial completion was done, and that's when the warranty goes into effect. But I'll have to look.
We didn't open all meter pits either. It takes a long time, but, the phone company's ones that I've seen, theirs is in a flower bed. They did one of them jumpers across it too. In the new pit. So, I just don't know what to make a list and give it to Randy, and hopefully they can jump on it while they're tearing stuff out.
Right, list Randy, Melissa, of course.
Well, some of the stuff on this side of the road, if it's before Fourth Avenue, they're gonna have to do that.
Yes.
All on their own, because we're not replacing the sidewalk on that side of the highway in this phase one. So that'll be
On them.
on them anyway.
But I'll do another walk next week with him.
Thanks.
Thank
Yeah.
you, David.
You thought you were just changing tires all day.
I was only within 40 minutes, we had all that. It was pretty like, oh my goodness. We opened a couple, it was like, oh, no. So,
Alright, what was the next?
This is the aerators.
The
So
used
we, I
aerators.
guess we have 4 used aerators from when we put the new ones in at our water treatment facility that Natarita would like to purchase from us.
The water or the sewer?
Water or sewer?
The aerators
Sewer.
at the wastewater treatment
Sewer.
facility.
Sewer.
Lagoons, yeah, mix
Yeah.
the water to get oxygen into the system.
New aerators cost around 12,000. I have no idea what used ones are worth. I think they mentioned it can be 3,000 a piece,
Are we
but I don't know
trying to
where
sell
we
them all,
would.
or we're trying to keep,
Well, I don't-
keep some?
I don't know.
The value of, keeping them as backup or not, so that's, I guess, or some of them as backup, so that would be my only question.
Are they the same as what we put in new?
Oh, no, I doubt it.
That's what I
I
thought.
seriously doubt that.
But you could probably
But you
retrofit one for a
Temporary,
temporary
You had one
fit
guy,
or
you could-
something.
You could, yeah, you
how
could
many are
pull
there?
one out there.
Four
We have four, and then there's 4
in use.
in use, new ones that we got in 2019 or 21, I guess it was 2021.
Well, even if we just sold them and bought a new one.
Well, yeah,
Backup.
but we need something for backup, cause, I mean, we're applying to get out from under. the-
Sell them all four and buy a new one
Some
for
of the-
backup?
Some of the restrictions under the DSV we're applying for to get out from under, because we're saying, oh, our warning limits are not a problem. Well, if you start.
But if
running
you lose an
aerators
aerator-
down, guess what?
Let's check and see what it costs to buy a new one and then,
Yeah, buy a new one that you
Sell
can
the
take
four.
one out, put one right back in and not have to cobble it together.
Yeah,
And if it's the same, so you can do have the same parts.
Yeah.
right.
And get maybe an actual cost for a used one, do you think they would have that at like Windwater, or, you know, one of our
They might be able to
suppliers?
at least give you an idea.
An idea?
It's either that or, CRWA, or somebody may have cause there's a lot of, trading and selling and buying.
Right, okay, they
Oh,
might
yeah.
not, they might know, I'll reach out to them. I'm not sure how soon Natarita was looking for.
I don't know, I thought Brian mentioned something the other day about they were messing with an aerator or something, so.
They might be in need.
They probably wait till last minute. Yep.
Well, I,
Crisis time, so it's not unlikely, but I doubt it, they're probably just, I haven't heard any.
Okay, I'll reach out to them tomorrow too.
Candy could probably tell you if they're in dire need.
It didn't sound like it, but I don't know.
what was the next step, Adam?
Leak at Midway Tank?
Yeah. I was informed of this today, it was sent to me that, from Colby, and he said that he's mentioned it to Tim and brought it to your attention as well, Melissa. And I'm wondering why we haven't done something about it.
Well, that's county service line, isn't it?
Goes to Midway Tank,
Anyway, tank's not leaking, it's in between his.
it's the valve right under Hilltop.
Oh, that one, you're talking in the main
This one.
line, yeah, you're talking the main line. Yeah, yeah. we know.
And that's a lot of water.
Anybody else hear it?
So, yeah, that's the main line, that's what he's talking about, there's supposedly a leak in the county service line, so. Off Midway, so. I don't know if they've done anything about it. But yeah, we're gonna have to do something about it as long as when the weather gets, so, and that's looking like now, so. That was one of those joint venture things.
That's a lot of water.
Well, we fixed it the last time and nobody paid us back, so I don't think the town of Nucla should have to put the bill for the new fix, the entire thing. We should
Well,
have to split it.
That's straight into that ball game of who's responsible. So, that area was proposed to do a joint venture between the three entities, Mustang, Navarita, and Nucla. I think that's probably the direction it needs to go, so Nucla isn't footing the bill. But it's gonna have to be something besides just slapping our money down.
Exactly, dug it.
We're gonna have to pull in a big hoe.
Yep.
Because a little hoe, we don't wanna pull that vault out of there. We're gonna wanna fuse that line, get rid of all of that junk in there. Because that's a useless structure they put in there to begin with. I don't know why they did all of those there.
Well, there's two wells right there, it looks like it's leaking out both of them.
Yeah, it's the air relief vault, so, and they put it, it's not at the top of the hill, so it doesn't air relief very well. It's not at the bottom, so.
Didn't they put those on every
Yeah,
one of those?
yeah, there's a bunch in there that's probably gonna be a ongoing problem. They're gonna have to be replaced, but mostly on Navarita stuff. So, so I guess I'll start stirring the pot on that.
And that's a lot of water a month, that's over 1,500 gallons at least. I understand it, that's.
Cool. Was there one more?
Discussion for the public meeting.
Yeah.
So, what do we wanna do? I have no problem with that.
I'm all for one.
I've been okay with one too.
So I think it's just a matter of, I
Set
mean,
the date.
are we gonna use the standard public hearing rules and constraints? Cause, Jane can't talk for 30 minutes, sorry.
Well, I don't think we should do it on a regular meeting night.
No, because we
No.
never have enough time.
Yeah.
No, then, sounds like we're gonna have plenty of participation, so.
Well, hopefully.
We probably should have it at the community center. So then we have to also consider the construction thing. I don't remember when the finish was on that.
Well, he's trying to get it done faster, but I didn't rent it out until April 10th. I was trying to give him a month to get it done, but they're gonna try and get it done quicker.
And we can use the entrance on the
We could go in
VFW.
We can use it, we can, I mean,
We could, sure.
So the
Half the
ninth-
time they go in that door anyway. Half the crowd
well,
goes in
they
that
have
door.
to, a lot of people have to use that door because of the ADA
Yeah.
accessibility for that building. It's
So,
all
yeah,
for
they're
the
already using
VFW
it, so,
side,
yeah.
so. I don't know how much, the ramp is going all the way down the sidewalk to meet the grade from the top to the bottom, so I don't know. We could definitely, one of us could enter and open either side door
Yeah,
too, to let people in, opposed to any one at the front.
So the 9th of April was a little too soon because of.
that's
maybe
our
not
board
being-
meeting too.
Well-
That's a board meeting night for us, the 9th.
We're trying to not to do
Yeah,
it.
so-
Oh, it was, I'm sorry, yeah, it's the 16th.
Yeah, it would be done. It's supposed to be done by the 10th is what I told Cody, so.
Okay.
So we could do it any day that week, whatever. I mean, that would be the safe way to schedule it unless you wanna schedule it earlier and work around the construction.
Just work around construction and get it done with.
Yeah.
We also wanna make sure there's plenty of time for it to be noticed.
Right.
So we're on the 12th, we meet again on the 26th.
We have a meeting on the 26th, yes. I don't think having it in 1 week is enough time. to
General notice, public notices have to be noticed twice in the 2 weeks.
In
So,
2 weeks
like,
in advance, I think.
April.
So more the week of the 7th? Oh, the 2nd?
I was thinking April 2nd.
Let's just do it on the 1st, April Fools.
That's election day, isn't it?
You've got, that's booked with, or well, the mobile, they should have the mobile van for the VA should be outside. So they should have the mobile up and running
When are they coming?
What day?
1st and 2nd of April.
Oh, that's good to know.
April 2nd.
What is that, John?
That's the VA is coming over with their mobile van to, and they'll be meeting with veterans down there for medical care.
Oh,
And it'll be on the 1st and the 2nd.
We could do it on a Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
What about April 3rd? That gives us enough time to,
Notice it and,
yeah.
and if they get done early, great. If they don't, I guess we'll go with our plan B to go through the other doors, so. Does that work for you guys? April 3rd? April 3rd?
yep, what time?
6? Or do you wanna do it earlier?
I can't.
No, anytime after 5.
What, for you, Penny? What do you?
6, I can make 6 work.
Yeah, 6
Okay.
would be fine.
All right.
So we're set, April 3rd, 16th.
April 3rd, 6 o'clock at the community center.
Got that, Jane?
I got it.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Awesome.
I appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am. I believe that's all the added.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, old business, Zoom meeting policy?
So we received the recommendations back from CIRSA. Did you want me to send that on to our attorney to review, or just kind of implement what they had? Did you guys have a chance to look that over?
Can you read it?
It's not in
I have
this
not.
policy.
Can you
It's
read
not
it?
in this packet yet.
So it's not public?
Provided, it was provided a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. So. It that was the one we talked about at the last meeting that, CIRSA recommended our attorney review the changes they had made. Or recommendations, I guess we should say.
So is that information public? I think that's what Amy was
Yeah.
asking.
Can you read it?
I don't have it in front of me, sorry. But there is, when we got the CIRSA, insurance gives some recommendations. Most of it was, if I recall correctly, information about Zoom meetings. It was mostly collected during the COVID era, the do's and don'ts and what they recommended, what they learned from that. I'm sure I have my copy at home. And they were just recommending that we have our town attorney just peruse the recommendations that they made, so.
I haven't gotten it back from them yet.
It didn't seem like anything any more than just what common sense and rules are, so.
So
we're
all
still-
meetings Zoomed or just certain meetings Zoomed?
No, well, it can be what the board decides on. It can also be what level of interaction. If it's just listen only
It's
Zoom
listen only.
meetings versus interactive Zoom meetings, it kind of covered all of that stuff, but there is decisions that the board will have to make from that information, so.
So do we want to table that for next meeting,
I
prior
can
to
make
you
it,
getting
I can see
information?
if the attorneys will
Review it before our next
review
meeting.
quickly,
Mhm.
because they've got a lot on their plate, they said, but let me see. Push for next meeting.
That way the board they could make, if there is any of those decisions, either or this or that, recommendations, can make it so we can move forward.
I'll see if they can get that at the front of the plate.
All right, got special reports. Start off with West End,
They canceled their meeting.
Mustang, Chelsea.
We haven't had a meeting, but I do have a little update here, if I can just find the right paper. So, a few members of the MWA board, Tim, our administrative assistant, Terry, as well as MWA's attorney, we had a penalty assessment Zoom meeting, to go over the penalties that Mustang is receiving, and this was, we had requested a reduction in the penalties. And so the bottom line went from, I don't know if I have the original number here, it was around 38,000-ish, does that sound right,
38
Tim?
after they did the 25% reduction off the top, I think, of
So we-
6,000, so it was
We
up
ended
to
up at $30,922 in penalty fees for the non-compliance issues. Yeah. So the MWA board will be discussing at the next meeting, which is next Monday, payment plan versus paying it all at once, and what those options look like before we go into the, what is they call it, the final compliance order, you know, that's gonna be sent to the Mustang Water Authority. So, I know we've talked about this before, but I want you guys to know what it ended up being after the reduction, so.
So this will be on the hook for $18,000. 60%.
What exactly happened? What was, why are we having such high fees?
Because, well, should I let you give the details of
Yeah,
it?
go ahead, Tim.
There was a extended period of time in which, this is on the wastewater permit, because the water treatment system has a wastewater permit also for discharging the salts and chlorine and everything that's used when it's the membrane filters are scrubbed. So you have a wastewater permit, and then there's no drinking water permit per se. But anyway, the wastewater permit, there was a significant period of time in which there were no discharge monitoring reports, which are required to be filed quarterly, were being filed. That occurred in, for the 1912, or they have two different, and the state changed their penalty periods, so they broke it out into a 1993 penalty and a 2022 penalty period for assessing penalties. But that occurred for the reality is they didn't even go back as far as when the discharge monitoring reports were not being filed. They only covered it for the 5 years or whatever that they can legally cover for a penalty. But those discharge monitoring reports were not being filed. There was no record of any monitoring of the discharge being done, which has to be done on a weekly basis, a monthly basis, and a quarterly basis. You have to take samples, you have to do routine things like pH and temperature, well, not so much temperature, but pH and total chlorine being discharged, and solids, and stuff like that on a routine basis throughout the year. And then you have to file a report on what those discharge monitoring, the results of that. So, and then determine if you have any violations during that time and whatnot. So anyway, the upshot is there was no monitoring being done that we have records of, and there was no reports being filed. So we got hammered.
Was there like an individual accountable for this, or?
No longer employed at Mustang Water Authority.
And how is the town of Nucla paying for that 18,000?
If it's not just the town
Coming
of
out of-
Nucla, it will be both down in Nucla and the other reason.
Yep.
But our portion is 18,
It
right?
will be, because essentially that's what it is, because Nucla and Matarita pay the full budget for Mustang Water.
There are only two clients, so any funds that comes into Mustang Water Authority basically comes from both of the municipalities. They told us that they could have charged us up to $500 a day, and ended up charging us $250 for 17 days, basically.
17 weeks.
17 days, yeah.
The reality is they really wanted to, I mean, they cut slack because it's a government entity, let's face it. The private industry would have been hammered much harder. I know I work for private industry. So, they could have charged upwards of like $1,000 a day for the period of violation. So if you're talking 4 or 5 years,
Could have been
I
a lot
mean-
more.
we would all be working for the state for a long, long time. So. But, you know, regardless, the ball was dropped, and now we're paying for it. So, and they have every right to penalize us and fine us because it was blatant. So,
But I mean, for the town of Nucla, that money we have, or?
It would have to come out of our water budget,
Just like it'll
which we
to-
have a savings account to upgrade our water lines that we've been saving for matches for grants and stuff, but it'll have to come out of that.
Yeah, I want to tell you though, Tim did a ton of work on trying to get everything reduced. He provided a ton of demography reports and all kinds of stuff to show that we were a community that was, in need of this discount that they give us. So even though it's really ugly, his work, it paid off a little bit, so we didn't have to incur the whole amount. So he did a great job, Tim. He did,
Great job, we're 0.
Well,
You did as good as
you
you
did
could
the
have
best
done,
you could with
yeah.
what you had to work with.
Within their parameters and their constraints, yes,
Yeah.
that's.
That's CDPHE.
Yeah, that's Water Quality Control Division.
Did you play the transition community card, the tier
Oh,
one?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, several times.
We were basically told that if the fine were in the 6-figure amount, then that might come into play.
Mhm.
But it's not big enough for them
Mhm.
to try to give us any relief based on our poverty status.
Wow.
It's a big dollar amount for this size.
Yeah.
All right, chamber?
Jeez.
We haven't had our chamber board meeting yet, so.
I wasn't gonna mention one other thing about Mustang. Since we started the river pump, we're pumping out of the river to exercise Nucla and now they use water rights out of the river. And the ditch company opened the tap on the ditch on last week. So the reservoir is currently full to the brim.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah, there was like
It looked a little
3,000
low.
gallons a minute coming out of the ditch. And we were pumping about 6 out of the river with the pump, so.
Well,
Didn't take
A lot
long
of
to fill
water.
it, huh?
No, it did not. Not long enough, so we had to scramble to get work done in the reservoir we wanted to do.
How long is the ditch on for?
It's been on,
Well,
it was on
they're
start
turning it off
Friday.
Friday.
Yeah,
Week.
so actually I had to shut the head gate today.
Better not touch that head gate.
No, no, no.
Just the one going in.
Oh.
Not going into the reservoir.
Oh, yeah.
Next is West End Housing Committee.
I've not been.
All right. Aline, have you met? Lisa?
Nope.
All right. All right, next, Melissa.
So I just wanted to give you a little update on Sherry Ross, our librarian. Her mom is not doing well, so she has not been working a whole lot, but Deborah, her assistant, has been making sure that the library is open as much as possible. She is currently out with the flu pneumonia right now as well, so just wanted to, there's no report from her because of that. My report, San Miguel Power is going to a time of use rate, which will increase everything from the hours of 4 to 9 p.m. for use for everybody. It will affect us because our wastewater treatment facility, the blowers and the aerators, they run as they need to run, not, you can't put them on a timer and say, no, don't run during this time. So we'll see how much that affects us. It's probably our most expensive power bill is the wastewater treatment facility anyway. We also might see increase at the community center since that is mostly used during the nights. And we need to maybe look at what we're charging for use of that because so far this year we've brought in $420 in revenue and paid out over $2,100 in just utilities.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so it's not paying for itself, which maybe that's not the goal, but to offset a little bit of those costs might be a little bit more in line. Montrose County is hosting their multi-agency coordination meeting tomorrow, 9:30 to noon. You're all invited to attend in person at the event center or via Zoom. If anybody can attend, I'll send you the information. I will be attending via Zoom because that's a long drive over there and back.
Yeah, I'd like to Zoom.
Okay, I'll send you the information. we discussed the animal control, and we discussed the Zoom meetings, and the water and sewer. Oh, 10 old hydrants. Tim, are you still looking for a hydrant out there at Mustang
I got
River?
2 from Navarita.
Okay.
And
We have one that still has guts. All the other guts were removed.
yeah, I don't want any with any guts, so.
They didn't work, they all leaked, so they took all the guts out. You're welcome to come up and look at that one and see if you want it.
Okay, just depends on if I can find parts for them. So.
Anybody else, do we wanna sell them? They're old. They might make good yard art.
Oh, yeah.
Put them on Main Street with a dog neck.
A little doggy bags. My dog will use it. Hey, there you go. That's where we put the dog bags.
Name it Rusty's Dream.
Just wondering if we wanna sell them or just trash them.
Well, I think if somebody wants them.
We could paint them with
Put
white
it out
polka
there,
dots
see if
to match
anybody
the
wants them.
mushroom.
I'll put it out there.
See, we might as well make something.
Okay. I'll put an ad in the paper. And then also on Facebook.
If you've got a dog, you need a hydrant.
We talked about the multiplier. So we did get a little bit of money for the community center for the El Pomar Foundation. But I don't know how much until they send me the check.
Oh, cool.
So we'll know more, but we were successful. Hopefully it was the full amount.
How much should we apply for?
What's that? I asked for 85,000.
That'd be great.
That would pretty much finish all the upgrades that we had planned. Wondering if we can go to an HR training, myself and Jessica, or just one of us, on the 26th, $250. I don't know how much HR we do, but in the coming years, it becomes more and more necessary so that you're meeting all of the legal requirements and stuff. So I think we should probably send at least one of us. We did budget for $1,000 for our training for general.
This is just down here.
Yep, it's a combined group.
So any other training you looked at, that, I mean, you got 1,000 for training, so if not, then I don't see any reason not to send both, but if you've got other training.
I haven't found any other
Seriously.
training that I'm seriously looking at. Sursa offers quite a bit of training, so we kind of stick to those on just little topics here and there. They offer quite a bit.
March 26th.
I haven't looked for any other training, to be honest.
I don't have a problem with both, if you got the budget for it.
Yeah. And it's an all day thing?
No, it's just from 10 to 2.
Oh, so it'd be close. Yeah, I can both go.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
Alright, I have an announcement to make to the town. Alright, dear officials of the town of Nucla, I feel like I let down the, let me start this over. I feel like I let the town down by not doing my due diligence regarding the cell phone tower contract, by not inviting more public input about the housing development at the old elementary school. These two issues that I know concern the citizens of the town greatly. That therefore I'm submitting my resignation as mayor of Nucla, effective at such time that their new mayor can be sworn in by an election. This decision was not made lightly, but after careful consideration of my personal and professional obligations, I believe it's the best course of action. Sorry. I have full confidence in that Nucla will continue to thrive in the progress in accordance with our town's ordinance and Colorado's revised statute Title 31, Government Municipal S31-4-303, and to ensure a smooth transition, my resignation is delivered conditionally, with the stipulation that a vacancy shall be filled by a special election. This will allow our community to have a direct and democratic say in the choosing of their next leader, ensuring that the governance of our town remains in the hands of the people. I'm committed to assisting in any way possible during this transition period to guarantee that all current projects and initiatives are proceed without disruption. I'm grateful for the opportunity to have served as your mayor and look forward to witnesses the continued success and growth of Nucla and the West End. If I can have an adjourn, be great.
I'll make a motion here.